I found the abortion receipt while looking for our mortgage statement. Not because I was snooping. I had no reason to. 12 years of marriage to Amanda, 2 kids, a house in the suburbs of Charlotte with a vegetable garden she tended every weekend. We were the couple other couples envied at neighborhood barbecues. At least, that's what I thought while standing in her home office that Tuesday afternoon, rifling through the filing cabinet. She'd always been too disorganized to maintain properly. The receipt was tucked inside a folder labeled Medical 2023, 3 weeks old. An abortion clinic in Greensboro, 90 miles away. Payment, $847, cash. My hands went numb. Amanda was in the kitchen downstairs, humming along to whatever podcast she'd been obsessed with lately. Our daughter Lily was at soccer practice. Our son Jake was at his friend's house. Normal Tuesday. Except I was holding proof that my wife had terminated a pregnancy I knew nothing about, because we hadn't been intimate in 4 months. The realization hit like a freight train. I sat down in her desk chair, the receipt trembling between my fingers. The date was September 19th. I'd been in Denver that week for a conference. Amanda had claimed she was catching up with her college roommate, Michelle, who supposedly came through town. She'd even shown me photos of their dinner. 2 glasses of wine, pasta, big smiles. I pulled out my phone and opened our shared calendar. September 19th. Dinner with Michelle, 7 p.m. The abortion was scheduled for 2 p.m. My chest tightened. I forced myself to breathe slowly, methodically. 12 years of marriage doesn't evaporate because of one piece of paper. There had to be an explanation. Maybe it was old, misfiled. Maybe. I checked the receipt again. The clinic's name was printed clearly at the top. Women's Health Services of Greensboro. Below that, a patient number. Below that, Amanda's full name, Amanda Jane Garrett. My wife's maiden name. She'd used her maiden name. Why would she do that unless she was trying to hide it? The humming downstairs stopped. I heard the oven door open, then close. The smell of roasting chicken wafted up through the vents. She was making my favorite dinner. Wednesday was my birthday. She was probably getting a head start on the preparations. I put the receipt back exactly where I'd found it, closed the filing cabinet, and walked downstairs on autopilot. Amanda was at the counter, chopping vegetables. She looked up when I entered, her face brightening with that smile I'd fallen in love with 15 years ago. "Hey, babe. How was your day?" "Fine," I said. My voice sounded normal, steady. "Yours?" "Oh, dropped Lily at practice, dealt with that nightmare at the HOA meeting. Apparently the Johnsons want to paint their house teal. Can you imagine?" She laughed, that musical sound that used to make everything feel right. "I told Patricia she's being dramatic, but you know how she gets." I nodded, watching her hands move. Those hands had signed a consent form 3 weeks ago. Those hands had held mine when our children were born. "You okay?" Amanda tilted her head, studying me. "You look pale." "Just tired," I said. "Think I might be coming down with something." She set down the knife and came over, pressing the back of her hand to my forehead. "You do feel a little warm. Why don't you go lie down? Dinner won't be ready for another hour." I went upstairs to our bedroom and closed the door. Then I pulled out my phone and did what I should have done months ago when the distance between us started growing. I looked at our cell phone bill. We were on a family plan, and as the account holder, I had access to all the call and text logs. I'd never checked before because I'd never had a reason to. Trust was supposed to be the foundation of marriage. The most frequent number in Amanda's call log wasn't her mother, wasn't Michelle, wasn't any number I recognized. It was a local Charlotte number, and they'd been talking for months, sometimes 3, 4 times a day. Texts in the hundreds. Calls that lasted over an hour, usually when I was at work or traveling. The most recent call was yesterday, 10:47 p.m. I'd been asleep by then. Amanda had claimed she was watching TV downstairs because she couldn't sleep. I ran the number through a reverse lookup service. It took 30 seconds. The number belonged to someone named Tyler Brooks. Male, 34 years old. And according to his LinkedIn profile, which was public, he worked at the same marketing firm where Amanda had taken a part-time consulting gig 6 months ago. 6 months. The same time our intimacy had dried up. The same time she'd started working late on projects. The same time she joined a gym and started dressing differently, wearing perfume on random weekdays. I sat on the edge of our bed, staring at Tyler Brooks's profile picture. He was handsome in that effortless way some men are. Strong jaw, easy smile, the kind of guy who probably played recreational league sports and quoted philosophers at parties. My phone buzzed. A text from Amanda. "Dinner in 20. Feel better?" I typed back, "Yeah, coming down." But I wasn't coming down. I was going deeper, pulling thread after thread until the entire fabric of my marriage unraveled in my hands. I sat in my home office until nearly midnight, the glow of my laptop screen the only light. The house had gone quiet hours ago. Amanda in our bedroom, probably scrolling through her phone, the kids asleep down the hall. Everything normal, everything a lie. The food delivery thing gnawed at me. I'd been so focused on the phone records, the abortion receipt, Tyler Brooks' LinkedIn profile, that I'd almost dismissed it as background noise. But now, alone with my thoughts and a spreadsheet of their text messages, it clicked into place with sickening clarity. I pulled up our joint credit card account. We'd always kept our finances merged. One of those things Amanda insisted made us a team. I'd never had reason to look closely before. Why would I? I filtered the transactions by merchant category, restaurants, and food delivery. Then I sorted by date. September 12th. DoorDash, $67.43. I'd been in Denver. September 19th. Uber Eats, $58.22. The day of the clinic appointment. August 28th. DoorDash, $71.18. Another business trip, this one to Atlanta. The pattern emerged like a photograph developing in chemicals. Every time I traveled, charges for meals that served two. Sometimes even wine delivery services I didn't recognize. Expensive bottles. Celebration-worthy bottles. I cross-referenced the dates with my travel calendar and the phone records. On each date, clusters of texts between Amanda and Tyler stopped around 6 p.m., then resumed late, midnight, sometimes 1 a.m. The dinner hours were silent, because they were together. In my house. In my bed, probably. Eating food delivered to my address, paid for with my credit card, while my kids slept down the hall or were conveniently at sleepovers. My hands found the edge of the desk and gripped hard enough that my knuckles went white. The courier's words replayed in my head. Change from last time. Meaning he'd been here before, multiple times, enough to recognize the address, maybe even expect a pattern. And he'd handed the money to me thinking I was the same person who'd been over-tipping him on previous deliveries. I pulled up the DoorDash account, also linked to my email, because Amanda had set it up years ago for family dinners when I worked late. I clicked through to order history. There were orders I didn't remember, dozens of them. I expanded the date range to 6 months. The list scrolled and scrolled. At least twice a week, sometimes 3 times, orders placed between 7 and 8 p.m. Always on evenings when, I now realized, I'd been working late at the office or traveling. The amounts were consistent with meals for 2 adults. Sushi, Thai, Italian, that upscale burger place downtown that charged $22 for a bacon cheeseburger. I clicked on one at random. September 5th, $83.67. The itemized receipt showed 2 entrees, 2 sides, 2 desserts, a bottle of wine from the restaurant's premium selection. The delivery address, my home. The tip, 25-30%. Generous enough to be memorable. I opened my phone and pulled up the doorbell camera app. We'd installed it 2 years ago after a package theft. The footage stored for 30 days on the cloud service. My finger hovered over the calendar interface. Did I want to see this? Did I need to? Yes. I needed to know everything. I selected September 19th, the day of the abortion. I fast-forwarded through the afternoon footage. Amanda left at 2:47 p.m., wearing yoga pants and a loose sweater, her hair pulled back. She looked tired. She looked like someone heading to end a pregnancy that wasn't her husband's. She returned at 6:23 p.m., same clothes. She moved slowly up the walkway, one hand pressed to her abdomen. She paused at the door, took a breath, then went inside. At 7:41 p.m., a DoorDash driver appeared. Young guy, early 20s, carrying 2 bags. He rang the bell. The door opened. I couldn't see who answered from the camera's angle, but the driver handed over the bags, said something, smiled. Then he pulled out his phone, probably processing the tip, and left. I reversed and played it again. The driver's lips moved. I couldn't make out the words, but the body language was casual. Familiar. This wasn't his first delivery here. I selected September 12th. I'd been in Denver for a 3-day conference. At 7:52 p.m., another delivery. Different driver, same routine. But this time, when the door opened, the camera caught a sliver of the interior. A man's hand reached out to take the bags. The hand wore a watch I didn't recognize. Silver, expensive looking. Not my hand, not my watch. Tyler Brooks, in my house, accepting food delivery like he lived there. I checked September 5th, August 28th, August 14th. Every time I'd been gone, the pattern repeated. Sometimes the camera caught glimpses. A man's shoulder in the doorway, unfamiliar shoes on my welcome mat, once even a laugh. Male, definitely not mine, when a driver made some joke I couldn't hear. They'd been doing this for months. Ordering dinner to my house, eating at my table, probably drinking wine in my living room, then heading upstairs to my bedroom while my credit card paid for everything. The audacity of it made my chest feel like it was caving in. I downloaded every video file that showed a delivery. 17 in total over the past 30 days. Before that, the footage had been automatically deleted, but the credit card records went back further. I created a folder on my laptop, labeled it Household Records 2023, and saved everything there. The videos, screenshots of the order history, the credit card statements. Then I did something I'd been avoiding. I opened a private browser window and searched for divorce attorneys in Charlotte. Not because I'd made a decision, not yet, but because I needed to understand what came next, what my options were, what evidence mattered. The first firm's website talked about asset division, custody arrangements, documentation. They offered a free initial consultation. I filled out the contact form, my fingers moving automatically across the keyboard. Name, email, phone number, brief description of situation. I typed, need to discuss evidence preservation and next steps. Infidelity, financial documentation available. I hit submit before I could second guess it. The confirmation page appeared. Thank you for contacting Peterson and Walsh Family Law. Someone will reach out within 1 business day. I closed the laptop and sat in the darkness. Upstairs, I heard the bathroom door close, water running through the pipes. Amanda getting ready for bed. Our bed. The bed she'd shared with Tyler Brooks while I paid for their dinners and trusted her completely. My phone buzzed. A text from Amanda. You coming to bed soon? Everything okay? I stared at the message. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. She was typing something else, then thought better of it. Finally, love you. 2 words that used to mean everything. Now they just felt like another transaction in a long chain of lies. I typed back, just finishing up some work. Be up soon. I wasn't going up soon. I wasn't sure I could lie next to her tonight without saying something, without my face giving away what I knew. But I also wasn't ready to blow this up. Not yet. I had evidence, but I needed more. I needed a plan. I needed to understand the full scope of what she'd done before I made any moves. The doorbell camera footage had given me something concrete, something beyond phone records and receipts. Visual proof that Tyler Brooks had been in my house, that their affair had played out in my home while I worked to provide for our family. I opened a new document and started typing. Dates, times, amounts. Every delivery, every business trip, every gap in the phone records that now made perfect sense. I worked methodically, building a timeline that would be impossible to deny or explain away. By 2 a.m., I had 43 pages of documentation. Spreadsheets, screenshots, video timestamps, credit card statements, phone records. Everything cross-referenced and organized chronologically. I saved it all to an encrypted cloud drive, then emailed a copy to myself at a personal Gmail account Amanda didn't know existed. Then I cleared my browser history, shut down the laptop, and sat in the dark for another 20 minutes, letting my face relax into something approaching normal. When I finally climbed the stairs, Amanda was asleep, her phone charging on the nightstand, her face peaceful in the dim glow of the alarm clock. I stood in the doorway and looked at her. 12 years of marriage, 2 children, a life I'd thought was real. She stirred slightly, murmured something in her sleep. I got into bed, staying on my edge of the mattress, and stared at the ceiling until dawn. The courier handed me $17 and change. "She always tips better than this," he said, laughing as he counted the bills into my palm. "Must have been a good night last time." I stood in the doorway, money in hand, staring at him. He was maybe 20, wearing a red delivery jacket with grease stains on the sleeve. "Last time?" My voice came out steady. "Normal." "Yeah, couple weeks ago? Same address, same order pretty much. Pad thai and spring rolls." He glanced at his phone. "Oh wait, that was for 2 people. Tonight's just 1 order. My bad." The numbers clicked into place. 2 weeks ago, I'd been in Atlanta for 3 days. "Right," I said. "Thanks." I closed the door and looked at the bag in my other hand. Pad thai. Spring rolls. $43 worth of Thai food I hadn't ordered. Amanda was in the shower. I could hear the water running upstairs, hear her humming something I didn't recognize. She'd been humming a lot lately, happy, light. I set the food on the kitchen counter and pulled out my phone. The delivery app showed the order history clearly. Tonight's order placed at 6:47 p.m., under my account. Using my credit card. I scrolled back. There it was. 2 weeks ago, Tuesday night. Order for 2. Pad thai, spring rolls, drunken noodles, tom yum soup. $68. Same restaurant, same delivery address. My hands were steady as I kept scrolling. 3 weeks before that, Chinese food. Order for 2. 5 weeks before that, pizza. 2 large pizzas, breadsticks, wings. The dates aligned perfectly with my business trips. Denver, Atlanta, Phoenix, every single one. She'd been ordering dinner for them, using my account, my money, having food delivered to my house while she entertained him in my bed. The shower shut off upstairs. I grabbed the Thai food and my phone, walked to my office, and locked the door. The filing cabinet was still open from last week, the abortion receipt still sitting on top of my evidence pile. I'd been adding to it methodically. Phone records, credit card statements, doorbell footage. 43 pages had become 62. Now I pulled up the delivery app on my laptop and started taking screenshots. Every order, every date, every itemized receipt showing meals for 2 while I was out of town. The pattern was so clear it made my chest tight. She hadn't even tried to hide it. She'd used my account, my card, ordered to my address. The arrogance of it was breathtaking. "Babe?" Amanda's voice came from the hallway. "Did someone just deliver food?" I saved the last screenshot and closed the laptop. "Wrong address," I called back. "I sent them away." "Oh, okay." A pause. "I'm making pasta. 20 minutes? Sounds good. I heard her footsteps retreat toward the kitchen. The familiar sounds of her cooking started up. Cabinet doors, running water, the click of the stove igniting. I sat in my office chair and opened the Thai food. The smell hit me immediately. Pad Thai, peanut sauce, lime. My stomach turned, but I forced myself to eat a bite. Then another. It was good. Fresh. From the place on Collins Street we used to go to before kids, when we had time for date nights. She'd been recreating our dates. With him. In our house. I pulled out my phone and opened the doorbell camera app. 2 weeks ago, Tuesday, 7:15 p.m. I found the timestamp and watched. The delivery driver appeared first, same red jacket. He rang the bell, waited. Then the door opened. Tyler Brooks stood there in jeans and a t-shirt, barefoot. Comfortable. He smiled at the driver, took the bags, handed over cash. The driver said something. I couldn't hear the audio, but I could read his body language. Friendly, familiar, like he'd been here before. Tyler closed the door. The camera showed nothing but an empty porch. I fast-forwarded. At 11:47 p.m., the door opened again. Tyler stepped out, fully dressed now, carrying his shoes. He walked to a Honda Accord parked 2 houses down, far enough that the neighbors wouldn't notice, close enough for convenience. He drove away. 4.5 hours. He'd been in my house for 4.5 hours. I checked the footage from the other delivery dates. Same pattern. He arrived before the food, always parking down the street. Left late, always after 11, sometimes after midnight. On the Phoenix trip, he'd stayed until 2:30 a.m. "Dinner's ready," Amanda called. I closed the apps, cleared my browser history, and stood up. My legs felt disconnected from my body, like I was operating on autopilot. I walked to the kitchen. Amanda had set the table. 2 plates, wine glasses, a candle between them. She'd made carbonara, my favorite. Garlic bread on the side, a salad with the tomatoes from her garden. "I thought we could have a nice dinner," she said, smiling. "Just us. Kids are both out. We never get evenings alone anymore." She looked beautiful. Hair still damp from the shower, wearing the blue sweater I'd bought her last Christmas. No makeup, just her. The woman I'd loved for 12 years. The woman who'd aborted another man's baby and ordered dinner for 2 while I paid for business trips I didn't want to take. "This looks amazing," I said, sitting down. She poured wine. Red, from the bottle we'd been saving. Special occasion wine. "I've been thinking," she said, twirling pasta on her fork. "We should plan a trip, just the 2 of us. Maybe for our anniversary. We could do that bed and breakfast in Asheville you always talk about." Our anniversary was in 6 weeks. October 15th. "That sounds nice," I said. "I already looked at dates. We could go the weekend of the 14th. Mom said she'd watch the kids." She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "I feel like we need this. You know? Reconnect." Her hand was warm. Her wedding ring caught the candlelight. White gold, simple band. I'd chosen it because she said she wanted something classic, timeless. "Definitely," I said. "Let's do it." She smiled, that bright smile that used to make my whole day better. "I love you." "Love you too." The words came automatically. Muscle memory from 12 years of marriage. But as I said them, I watched her face, looking for something. A crack. Guilt. Hesitation. Nothing. Just happiness. Just my wife, planning our anniversary trip while the evidence of her affair sat in my locked office 60 feet away. We ate dinner. She talked about Lily's soccer tournament, Jake's science project, her mother's upcoming birthday. Normal conversation, normal Tuesday night. I nodded in the right places, asked appropriate questions, laughed when she told a funny story about her coworker. Not Tyler. Someone else. Someone's safe. My phone buzzed. I glanced at it. Email from David, my attorney. Subject line. Next steps. I set the phone face down. Work? Amanda asked. Just spam. She started clearing plates. I helped, our familiar dance around the kitchen. She washed. I dried. The routine we'd perfected over a decade of marriage. Oh, she said, scrubbing the pasta pot. I forgot to mention. I have that conference next week. Thursday and Friday in Raleigh. Marketing strategies, seminar thing. I dried a wine glass. The one you mentioned last month? Yeah. I know it's annoying timing with your schedule, but Mom can get the kids from school those days. No problem, I said. She'd mentioned it last month. I'd checked my calendar, confirmed I'd be in town, told her to go ahead and register. I remembered the conversation clearly. What I hadn't done was verify the conference actually existed. I made a mental note. Check for marketing conferences in Raleigh next week. Check hotel bookings on the credit card. Check her phone records for those dates after they happened. You're the best, she said, kissing my cheek. I don't know what I'd do without you. I smiled. Kissed her back. Kept drying dishes. At 10:30 we went to bed. She curled against me, her head on my chest, her breathing evening out into sleep within minutes. Peaceful, content. I stared at the ceiling and counted. $17 in change from the delivery driver. 62 pages of evidence in my filing cabinet. 4 months since we'd been intimate. 6 weeks until our anniversary. 2 days until I met with David again. Amanda's breathing deepened. Her hand rested on my chest, right over my heart. I didn't move. Didn't sleep. Just lay there in the dark, planning. The doorbell rang at 6:47 p.m. on Thursday. I was in the kitchen pretending to read a news article on my phone while Amanda made salmon. The sound cut through the domestic quiet. Oven humming, knife against cutting board, NPR murmuring from the speaker. I'll get it, I said. Amanda looked up, forehead creased. Are you expecting something? Probably just a package. But I knew. The pattern was there in my spreadsheet, in the credit card statements I'd memorized. Thursday nights when I traveled. DoorDash orders for 2. Thai place on Collins Street, always between 6:30 and 7 a.m. Except I wasn't traveling. I was here. The delivery driver stood on our porch holding 2 bags. Young guy, early 20s, wearing a red DoorDash cap. He checked his phone, then looked at me with mild confusion. Order for Amanda? That's my wife. He held out the bags, then reached into his pocket and pulled out a $20 bill. Oh, and here, change from last time. She gave me a $50 for a $32 order, told me to keep 20. But I felt bad, you know? That's too much. Been meaning to drop it off. The bill sat in his outstretched hand. Andrew Jackson's face stared up at me. My mouth went dry. Last time? I kept my voice level. Curious, not suspicious. Yeah, couple weeks ago? Same order, same time. He grinned. You guys really like that pad thai? Anyway, she seemed like she was in a good mood. Said keep the change, but $20 is crazy. My conscience was killing me. 2 weeks ago, Thursday. I'd been in Denver. I took the 20. It felt contaminated. That's thoughtful of you. The words came from somewhere outside my body. She does tip well. Best customer on my route. He handed over the bags. Have a good night. I closed the door. Stood in the foyer holding 2 bags of Thai food and a $20 bill that proved my wife had ordered dinner for 2 while I was 3 states away. Who was it? Amanda called from the kitchen. I walked back, set the bags on the counter. She turned from the stove, saw them, and went completely still. The knife stopped moving. Her hand froze midair. For 3 seconds, maybe 4, her face showed pure shock. Eyes wide, mouth slightly open, color draining from her cheeks. Then she recovered, smiled, laughed. Oh my God, I completely forgot. I ordered Thai for tomorrow. Thought I'd save myself some cooking after my spin class. She wiped her hands on a towel, came over to peek in the bags. They weren't supposed to deliver until tomorrow night. Idiots. The lie was smooth, practiced. Her voice had that same musical quality, that warmth that had drawn me to her 12 years ago. I held up the 20. Driver brought this back. Said you gave him a 50 for a $32 order a couple weeks ago. Wanted to return the change. Her eyes flicked to the bill. Something moved across her face, too fast to read. Oh, that's so sweet of him. She took the 20, tucked it into her wallet on the counter. I remember that. I didn't have anything smaller, told him to keep it. But that's really honest of him to bring it back. You ordered Thai a couple weeks ago too? Mm-hmm. She turned back to the salmon, flipped it in the pan. I've been craving it lately. Probably ordered it 3 or 4 times this month. 3 or 4 times. All Thursdays. All when I was traveling. I pulled out my phone, opened the DoorDash app. We shared an account. I'd set it up years ago so either of us could order food. The order history loaded. Thai Palace. 3247, 2 weeks ago. Thursday, 6:42 p.m. Thai Palace. 3185, 3 weeks ago. Thursday, 6:55 p.m. Thai Palace. 30 Zawa Smiles, 4 weeks ago. Thursday, 7:03 p.m. 5 orders total. All Thursdays. All in the past 6 weeks. I scrolled further back. Nothing. Before 6 weeks ago, we'd ordered Thai maybe once every 2 months. Always on weekends. Always family portions for 4. These orders were different. 2 entrees. 2 spring rolls. 2 Thai iced teas. Babe, Amanda's voice pulled me back. Can you grab the rice from the pantry? I looked up. She was plating the salmon, her back to me, movements casual and efficient. Sure. I got the rice, set the table, poured water, moved through the motions while my brain cataloged everything. The driver had said, same order, same time. Not just the same restaurant, the exact same order. 2 pad thais, 2 spring rolls, 2 drinks, muscle memory, routine. We ate dinner. Amanda talked about her day. Client meeting ran long, new project coming up, thinking about getting highlights. I made appropriate sounds, asked questions, laughed at her story about a coworker's email mishap. The Thai food sat on the counter in its bags, waiting. After dinner, after the kids were in bed, Amanda opened the bags. Want some? She pulled out containers, popped one open. The salmon was good, but I'm still hungry. I'm full. She shrugged, got a fork, ate pad thai straight from the container. Scrolled through her phone while she chewed. I watched her. This woman I'd loved for 12 years. Mother of my children. The person I'd trusted completely. She'd ordered dinner for her lover, in our house, on our account, and when the delivery arrived a day early, she'd lied without hesitation. The evidence folder on my laptop had 62 pages. Now it would have 63. I went to the office, opened the DoorDash app on my computer, took screenshots of every Thai Palace order, noted the dates, times, amounts. Then I checked our doorbell camera. 2 weeks ago, Thursday, 6:42 p.m. I found the footage. Watched the delivery driver arrive. Watched Amanda answer the door in yoga pants and a fitted top, not the oversized shirt and leggings she wore around me. Watched her smile, hand over cash, take the bags. I scrolled forward. 7:03 p.m. Tyler Brooks arrived. Dark sedan, parked in our driveway like he belonged there. 7:08 p.m. Amanda opened the door. He kissed her. Not a friendly peck, his hand on her waist, her body leaning into his. They went inside. I fast-forwarded. 10:47 p.m. He left. She walked him to the door. Another kiss, longer this time. I sat back in my chair. The office was dark except for the monitor's glow. She'd ordered Thai food, eaten dinner with her lover. In our dining room, probably. Or maybe they'd eaten in bed. The $20 bill was her tip, her celebration, her generosity born from whatever high she'd been riding that night. And the driver, decent kid with a conscience, had brought it back. I created a new document, food delivery evidence docs. Typed everything. The driver's exact words. The order history. The doorbell footage timestamps. Amanda's lies about ordering for tomorrow, about craving Thai food, about not having smaller bills. Saved it. Backed it up. Added it to the evidence folder. 63 pages. My phone buzzed. Text from Amanda. Coming to bed soon? I'm cold without you. I looked at the message. At the emoji. At the casual intimacy that now felt like performance art. Typed back. Just finishing some work. Be there in 10. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Don't work too hard. I set the phone down, stared at the screen. The Thai food was still in the kitchen. Evidence sitting in plain sight. 2 entrees, 2 drinks, 2 spring rolls, ordered for 2. I thought about tomorrow, about the weekend, about the anniversary trip Amanda had been planning. Wine country, she'd said. Romantic getaway. Just the 2 of us. I thought about the Raleigh conference next week, the one that probably didn't exist. I thought about Tyler Brooks, about whether he knew she was married, knew about the kids, knew that the house he visited was mine. My hands were steady. That surprised me. 2 weeks ago, finding the receipt had made them shake. But now, after days of evidence gathering, after proof stacking on proof, I felt nothing. No, not nothing. Clarity. I opened my email, found David's last message. Hit reply. Need to meet Monday, 9 a.m. if possible. New evidence. We'll bring everything. Sent. Then I closed the laptop, turned off the office light. Walked upstairs to where my wife was waiting, warm and affectionate and guilty as hell. She smiled when I came in, patted the bed beside her. There you are. Thought you got lost in spreadsheets. I climbed in. Let her curl against me, felt her breath on my neck. Just had to finish something, I said. You work too hard. Her hand found mine under the covers, squeezed. I squeezed back, held on, and counted down the hours until Monday morning. The weekend stretched ahead of me like a minefield. 48 hours of pretending everything was normal while my lawyer's office sat dark and locked until Monday morning. Saturday morning, Amanda hummed while making pancakes. The kids argued over who got the last blueberries. Sunlight streamed through the kitchen windows, catching the gold in Amanda's hair as she flipped a pancake with practiced ease. Mom, can we go to the pool today? Lily asked, syrup dripping down her chin. Sure, sweetie, let me check the weather. Amanda pulled out her phone, and I watched her thumb move across the screen. Was she texting him? Telling Tyler about her boring family Saturday? My own phone sat face down on the table. I'd disabled all notifications from the monitoring app. Couldn't risk Amanda seeing a screen light up with details of her own text messages. Pool sounds great, I said, forcing enthusiasm into my voice. I'll grab the sunscreen. We spent 4 hours at the neighborhood pool. I pushed Jake down the slide 17 times. Amanda chatted with other moms under an umbrella, her laugh carrying across the water. Normal. Everything looked so devastatingly normal. Except I kept noticing things I'd missed before. The way Amanda angled her phone away from everyone when she checked it. How she'd excuse herself to use the restroom and return 5 minutes later with that small, secret smile. The careful way she positioned her beach bag so no one could see inside. I'd been blind for 6 months, or maybe longer. How long had she been capable of this level of deception before she actually started the affair? That night, after the kids were asleep, Amanda suggested we watch a movie. She curled against me on the couch, her head on my shoulder, her hand resting on my chest. The physical contact felt like a violation now. I focused on breathing normally, on not pulling away. "This is nice," she murmured during a quiet scene. "We should do this more often." "Yeah," I managed. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, and I felt her body tense slightly before relaxing again. "Just Michelle," she said, unprompted, asking about book club. The lie came so easily, so smoothly, like she'd had months of practice. I wondered if Tyler was texting her right now, while she lay against her husband. Wondered what she was telling him. "Can't wait to see you Monday." Or maybe, "He has no idea. We're watching a movie and he's completely clueless." My jaw ached from clenching it. Sunday brought yard work. Amanda weeded the vegetable garden while I mowed the lawn. The Johnsons waved from their driveway. Patricia called over asking if we were coming to the neighborhood barbecue next weekend. "Wouldn't miss it," Amanda called back, all sunshine and suburban charm. I pushed the mower in straight lines, the engine noise giving me an excuse not to talk. In my pocket, my phone held 63 pages of evidence. In my email, David's confirmation for tomorrow at 9 a.m., 24 hours. That afternoon, Amanda's mother called. I listened to Amanda's side of the conversation while pretending to read the newspaper. "No, Mom, everything's fine. Yes, the kids are great. Actually, we're planning something special for our anniversary. I know, 12 years. We're very happy." The lies just kept coming. To me, to her mother, probably to Tyler too. Did she tell him she was trapped in a loveless marriage? Did she paint me as the villain in their story? After dinner, Amanda pulled out her laptop at the kitchen table. "I need to prep some materials for that Raleigh conference," she said. "Shouldn't take long." I nodded, loading the dishwasher. Through the reflection in the window, I watched her. She wasn't preparing conference materials. Her fingers moved too fast and she kept smiling at the screen. She was messaging him. The monitoring app would capture it all. Every word, every lie, every plan they were making. I dried my hands and walked past her, glancing at the screen. She immediately minimized whatever window she'd had open, pulling up a PowerPoint presentation so quickly I almost missed the transition. "How's it going?" I asked. "Good. Just reviewing the quarterly marketing trends." She gestured at the screen, which now showed a legitimate-looking presentation. "Pretty dry stuff." "When do you leave?" "Thursday morning. I'll be back Friday night." She reached up and squeezed my hand. "I'll miss you." The performance was flawless. If I hadn't known better, I'd have believed every word. That night in bed, she curled against me again. Her breathing evened out after 20 minutes, and I lay awake in the darkness, staring at the ceiling. This was the last night I'd sleep in this bed not knowing what came next. Tomorrow, everything would change. David would review the evidence, explain my options, set the machinery in motion. There would be papers to file, strategies to discuss, custody arrangements to plan. Amanda shifted in her sleep, her hand sliding across my chest. I thought about Thursday, her fake conference in Raleigh. Was she planning to spend 2 days with Tyler? Maybe they'd booked a hotel room, somewhere they could pretend to be a normal couple without the complications of a husband and kids. The monitoring app would tell me everything. Where she really went, who she really met, what she really did. I didn't sleep much. Monday morning arrived with aggressive cheerfulness. Amanda made scrambled eggs and turkey bacon, singing along to the radio. The kids dragged their backpacks to the door, complaining about a math test and a science project. "Have a great day at work," Amanda said, kissing my cheek as I grabbed my keys. "What time will you be home?" "Probably around 6. I have a few meetings." Not a lie, just not the meetings she imagined. "Perfect. I'm making that chicken marsala you love." I drove to David's office in a daze. The morning traffic moved around me in its usual patterns. People headed to normal jobs, dealing with normal problems. not sitting in their cars with 63 pages of evidence that their marriage was a fiction. David's office occupied the third floor of a modern building downtown. The receptionist, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes, checked me in at 8:53 a.m. "Mr. Patterson will see you shortly. Can I get you coffee or water?" "Coffee, black, thank you." I sat in the waiting area, watching the clock. 8:55, 8:57, 8:59. At exactly 9 o'clock, a door opened and a man in his mid-40s stepped out. Average height, gray-threaded dark hair, sharp eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. He wore a navy suit that looked expensive but not flashy. "Come on back," David said, extending his hand. His grip was firm, professional. "I've got us set up in the conference room." I followed him down a hallway lined with law degrees and professional certifications. The conference room had a large table, comfortable chairs, and a window overlooking the city. David closed the door and gestured to a chair. "Before we start, I want to make sure you understand that everything we discuss here is protected by attorney-client privilege. Nothing you tell me leaves this room without your permission." "I understand." "Good." He sat across from me, pulling out a yellow legal pad. "Now, you mentioned on the phone that you've discovered evidence of infidelity. Walk me through what you found and when." I pulled out the folder. 63 pages, organized by date and category. Phone records on top, then credit card statements, doorbell footage screenshots, delivery receipts, the abortion clinic receipt. David's expression remained neutral as I talked, but his pen moved steadily across the legal pad. He asked questions, specific, detailed questions about dates and times and documentation methods. "The monitoring app," he said. "Tell me about that." "It mirrors her phone activity to mine. I can see texts, calls, location data, everything." "And you installed it how?" "I have access to our shared cell phone account. I added it as a parental monitoring feature." David made a note. "North Carolina is a one-party consent state for recording conversations, but phone monitoring has some gray areas. We'll need to be careful about how we use this evidence." He looked up. "But the other documentation, credit cards, doorbell camera, delivery receipts, that's all solid. You have legal access to all of it." He flipped through the pages again, his expression thoughtful. "This is thorough, very thorough. The conference existed. I verified that Tuesday afternoon at my desk, staring at the Southeastern Marketing Professionals Association website. Annual Spring Conference, Raleigh Convention Center, Thursday through Friday. Registration still open. Featured speakers, breakout sessions, networking reception, Thursday evening." Amanda hadn't lied about the conference itself, just everything else. I clicked through to the attendee registration page, then closed the browser. My hands rested on the keyboard, motionless. The office hummed with its usual ambient noise, keyboards clicking, phones ringing, someone laughing at the water cooler. Normal sounds in a world that had stopped being normal 5 days ago. David's words from Monday kept cycling through my head. "Document everything. Stay calm. Don't tip your hand until we're ready." I'd spent the past 2 days doing exactly that. More doorbell footage downloaded and time-stamped. Credit card statements printed going back 8 months. I'd even driven past Tyler's apartment complex Sunday night, a modern development near South Park, the kind with a fitness center and pool. His Audi was parked in spot 247. I took a photo, added it to the file. 63 pages had become 78. My phone buzzed. "Amanda. Don't forget I'm leaving straight from work Thursday. Conference starts at 6 with registration. Love you." I typed back, "Have a great time. Learn lots." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "I'll miss you guys. Give Lily and Jake kisses for me." Will do. I set the phone down and pulled up my own calendar. Thursday, I had a site visit scheduled in Rock Hill, about 40 minutes south. I'd be gone most of the day. Amanda would leave work around 4, she'd said. Plenty of time to get to Raleigh for a 6 o'clock registration. Except Raleigh was 2.5 hours from Charlotte. Tyler's office was 15 minutes from our house. I opened a new browser tab and searched for hotels near the Raleigh Convention Center. The conference website listed 3 partner hotels offering discounted rates. I called the first one. Hi, I'm trying to locate my wife's reservation. She's attending the marketing conference this week. Amanda Garrett? Keyboard clicks. I'm sorry, sir. I don't see that name. Maybe under Amanda Mitchell? I gave our last name. No, nothing under Mitchell either. I tried the second hotel. Same result. The third hotel, a Marriott 2 blocks from the convention center, also had no reservation under either name. Could you check Tyler Brooks? The words came out before I'd consciously decided to say them. More clicking. Yes, I have a Tyler Brooks. Checking in Thursday, checking out Saturday morning. King Suite. Saturday, I repeated it flatly. Yes, sir. Is there something I can help you with? No, thank you. I ended the call and sat there, phone pressed against my forehead. Saturday. The conference ended Friday at 5. Amanda had told me she'd be home Friday night, late, after the closing session and drive back. Another lie. She was planning to stay through Friday night. My calendar reminder chimed. Lily's parent-teacher conference in 20 minutes. I'd completely forgotten. I grabbed my jacket and keys, forcing my face into something resembling normal as I headed for the parking garage. Mrs. Patterson, Lily's 4th grade teacher, was enthusiastic about Lily's progress in math. She's really blossomed this semester, very focused, asked great questions. I nodded, smiled, said appropriate things, signed the progress report. The whole interaction felt like watching myself from outside my body. This man in business casual, playing concerned father, while his actual life collapsed in slow motion. Is Amanda unable to make it today? Mrs. Patterson asked as I stood to leave. Work meeting ran late. The lie came easily now. I'd been practicing. Well, tell her Lily's doing wonderful. You two should be very proud. We are. I drove home on autopilot, pulled into the driveway at 5:30. Amanda's car was already there. Through the kitchen window, I could see her moving around, preparing dinner. Normal. Everything looked so relentlessly normal. Hey, she brightened when I walked in. How was your day? Good. Had Lily's conference with Mrs. Patterson. She's doing great in math. Oh, shoot, that was today? Amanda pressed her hand to her forehead. I completely spaced. No problem, I covered it. She crossed the kitchen and kissed my cheek. You're the best. I'm making that chicken piccata you like. Thought we could have a nice dinner before I'm gone the next few days. Sounds perfect. I watched her return to the stove, squeezing lemon over the chicken. Her movements were fluid, practiced. She hummed softly, something I didn't recognize. She seemed happy. Lighter than she'd been in months, actually. Planning to spend 2 nights with him would do that, I supposed. So, you're all set for the conference? I asked, pulling plates from the cabinet. Mostly. Still need to pack tonight. The opening session Thursday sounds really interesting. It's about leveraging micro-influencers for B2B marketing. She'd done her homework, knew the conference schedule well enough to reference specific sessions. I wondered if she'd practiced these details, rehearsed them like lines in a play. And you're staying at the Sheraton. It's right next to the convention center. Super convenient. Not the Marriott where Tyler had booked a king suite. Another layer. They weren't even staying at the same hotel officially in case I checked. Smart. That's good. I set the plates on the counter. You'll be back Friday night? Probably around 10 or 11. The last session ends at 5, but you know how these things run long? Then the drive back. Right. Lily thundered down the stairs, Jake behind her arguing about whose turn it was to pick the TV show. Amanda mediated with practiced ease while plating the chicken. We sat down to dinner, all four of us, family tableau, and I cut my chicken into precise pieces while Amanda told the kids about the boring work conference she had to attend. "Will you bring us back hotel shampoo?" Jake asked. "If they have the little bottles, absolutely." She met my eyes across the table and smiled. That same warm smile I'd fallen in love with 13 years ago. My chest tightened, but I smiled back. "More chicken?" she asked. "I'm good, thanks." After dinner, after the kids were in bed, we sat on the couch watching some home renovation show neither of us cared about. Amanda leaned against my shoulder. Her hair smelled like her usual shampoo, jasmine, and something citrus. "I'm going to miss you guys," she said quietly. "We'll miss you too. It's only 2 days." "I know." She tilted her head up to look at me. "You okay? You seem distracted." "Just tired. Long week." "Poor thing," she kissed my jaw. "Why don't you head up? I need to pack anyway." "Yeah, okay." I went upstairs, brushed my teeth, changed into sleep clothes. Through the bedroom door, I could hear Amanda in the closet, hangers sliding on the rod, drawers opening and closing, the zipper of her suitcase. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to my wife pack for her romantic weekend with another man, wondering what she was choosing to bring, whether she'd packed the black dress I'd bought her for our anniversary last year, whether she was excited, whether she felt any guilt at all. My phone sat on the nightstand, dark and silent. I could text Tyler right now. Simple message: "Stay away from my wife." But David's voice in my head: "Don't tip your hand." Amanda came to bed an hour later, settled in beside me. "All packed. God, I hate packing." "Love you," she whispered, already half asleep. I didn't answer. After a few minutes, her breathing deepened, evened out. I lay there in the dark, listening to her sleep, counting the hours until Thursday. 78 pages of evidence. Soon to be more. "The wife loses everything," David had said. Not a question. A statement of fact. I just had to wait 2 more days. Thursday morning arrived with the hollow brightness of a stage set. Amanda was already showered and dressed when I came downstairs. Charcoal slacks, cream blouse, her hair styled in loose waves. Professional, polished. She'd put on makeup, the kind she usually reserved for date nights we hadn't had in months. "Coffee's fresh," she said, pouring herself a travel mug. "I'm heading out early to miss traffic." It was 6:47 a.m. The conference didn't start until 6 p.m. "Drive safe," I said. She kissed me goodbye at the door, her lips barely brushing my cheek. "I'll text when I get there." "Love you." I watched her pull out of the driveway, watched her taillights disappear around the corner. Then I poured my own coffee and sat at the kitchen table, phone in hand. The monitoring app showed her location heading north on I-77, toward Raleigh. She'd maintained that trajectory for about 40 minutes, I figured, just in case I checked. Then she'd loop back. I was right. At 7:34 a.m., her location pinged at a rest stop. She stayed there for 6 minutes. When she started moving again, she was heading south, back toward Charlotte. By 8:15, she was at Tyler's apartment complex. I took a screenshot, added it to the file. Then I got the kids ready for school, dropped them at my mother-in-law's house. She thought she was helping out while Amanda was at her conference, and drove to David's office. "She's there now?" David asked, looking at the location data on my phone. "Has been for 20 minutes?" He nodded slowly, making notes. "And the hotel reservation under his name runs through Saturday." "Correct." "Okay." David set down his pen and looked at me directly. "Here's what happens next. We file tomorrow, Friday morning. Adultery is still grounds for divorce in North Carolina, and you have documentation that would make any judge's job very easy. The doorbell footage alone is damning. Add the phone records, the financial evidence, her location data showing she lied about the conference trip. It's airtight. What about custody? With this level of deception, and given that she's been bringing her affair partner into the family home while the children were present, we'll petition for primary physical custody. You'll likely get it. She'll have visitation rights, but the court won't look kindly on her choices. I nodded, my throat tight. The house is in both names? David continued. Joint ownership, but I've been making the mortgage payments from my account. We'll argue for you to keep the family home given you'll have primary custody. She'll be entitled to her share of the equity, but we can structure that as a long-term payout so you're not forced to sell. And the retirement accounts? North Carolina is an equitable distribution state, not necessarily equal. Given the adultery and the circumstances, we can argue for a division that favors you. Probably 60-40, maybe better. David leaned back in his chair. I won't lie to you. She's going to walk away from this with significantly less than half. Her attorney will fight, but the evidence is overwhelming. Most likely we'll settle before trial. No lawyer wants to put their client on the stand when the other side has video of the affair partner entering the marital home. How long does this take? If she contests, we're looking at 12 to 18 months. If she settles, we could be done in 6. He paused. You need to be prepared for her reaction. When she's served with papers, when she realizes you know everything, it's going to get ugly before it gets better. I know. But I didn't know. Not really. Friday morning, 9:47 a.m. Amanda's location showed her still at Tyler's apartment. She'd texted me last night, a photo of the Raleigh Convention Center, crowds of people with name tags, a message saying the sessions were actually pretty interesting. The photo was from the conference website. I'd reverse image searched it. I was in David's office when the process server confirmed delivery. Amanda had returned to Tyler's apartment after a coffee run. The monitoring app showed a stop at Starbucks and answered the door in what the server described as casual clothes, seemed surprised. It's done, David said, ending the call. She's been served. My phone rang 4 minutes later. Amanda's name lit up the screen. I let it ring. Once, twice, 3 times. Then I answered. What the hell is this? Her voice was shrill, unfamiliar. Michael, what the hell is this? Divorce papers. Are you insane? I'm at a conference and some guy shows up. She stopped abruptly, remembering her lie, realizing I knew. The silence stretched between us like a chasm. You're not at a conference, I said quietly. You're at Tyler Brooks's apartment. You've been there since Thursday morning. And before you try to lie, I have location data, phone records, doorbell footage, credit card statements, and delivery receipts going back 6 months. I know about all of it, Amanda. Everything. I heard her breathing, rapid and shallow. Michael, the abortion receipt was the first thing I found. 3 weeks old. We hadn't been intimate in 4 months. My voice stayed level, almost clinical. Then the phone records. The food deliveries to our house while I traveled. The doorbell camera footage of him arriving, staying for hours, leaving after midnight. The hotel room he booked under his name for this weekend. All of it. Let me explain. There's nothing to explain. You had an affair. You brought him into our home, around our children. You spent my money on dinners for the 2 of you. You lied about a conference so you could spend a weekend with him. I paused. And you terminated a pregnancy that wasn't mine. Michael, please. The papers are real. My attorney is David Patterson. You should get your own lawyer, a good one. I kept my tone even, factual. I'm filing for primary custody of Lily and Jake. I'm keeping the house. You'll get visitation rights and a portion of the assets, but given the circumstances, it won't be half. You can't do this, her voice cracked. You can't take my children. You did this. Every choice that led here was yours. I made a mistake. People make mistakes. A mistake is forgetting to buy milk. This was 6 months of calculated deception. I looked out David's office window at the Charlotte skyline. I'm done, Amanda. The marriage is over. What about counseling? We could… No. Michael, please, I love you. You don't. The words came out harder than I intended. People who love each other don't do what you did. They don't lie like you lied. They don't bring their affair partner into the family home and order dinner on their spouse's credit card. She was crying now, big gasping sobs. A small, buried part of me wanted to comfort her. 12 years of marriage had built those instincts deep. But I stayed quiet, let her cry, felt nothing but a distant sadness for the man I'd been 2 weeks ago. I'll pick up Lily and Jake from your mother's house, I said. You can see them this weekend if you want, but we'll need to arrange it through lawyers going forward. Don't come to the house. That's my house, too. Read the papers. I'm filing a motion for exclusive possession pending the divorce. Given the evidence, the judge will grant it. This is crazy. You're being crazy. I'm being rational, maybe for the first time in months. I stood up, gathered my jacket. Goodbye, Amanda. I ended the call, blocked her number, sat back down. David was watching me carefully. You okay? Yeah. I was surprised to find it was true. Yeah, I am. The divorce took 11 months. Amanda hired an attorney, Gregory Walsh, aggressive reputation, expensive retainer. He fought hard, arguing for equal custody, 50-50 asset split, claiming the affair was a brief indiscretion that shouldn't define the entire marriage. But the evidence was overwhelming. The judge, a woman in her 60s named Patricia Reeves, reviewed everything with a thoroughness that left no room for interpretation. The doorbell footage particularly seemed to affect her. Watching Tyler Brooks enter my home, kiss my wife, stay for hours while my children slept upstairs. This wasn't a brief indiscretion, Judge Reeves said during the final hearing. This was a sustained pattern of deception that violated the sanctity of the marital home and exposed the minor children to inappropriate circumstances. I got primary physical custody. Amanda got alternating weekends and 1 weeknight dinner. I kept the house. The retirement account split 65-35 in my favor. She was ordered to pay her own legal fees. Tyler Brooks disappeared from her life within 3 months. Apparently, the reality of dating a woman going through a contentious divorce with 2 kids was less appealing than the fantasy of their affair. Amanda moved into a 2-bedroom apartment in Ballantyne. She showed up for her visitations, but the light had gone out of her. She looked older, harder, diminished. I felt sorry for her sometimes. Late at night, when the house was quiet and the kids were asleep, I'd remember the woman I married. The one who'd laughed at my jokes and planted tomatoes and danced in the kitchen. That woman was gone, replaced by someone I didn't recognize. Or maybe she'd never existed at all. Maybe I'd just been too trusting to see who she really was. Lily and Jake adjusted better than I expected. Kids are resilient in ways adults forget how to be. They missed their mother, but they adapted to the new routine. Homework at the kitchen table, Saturday morning pancakes, soccer practices and science projects, and the 1,000 small rituals that make up a childhood. I didn't date for a long time, wasn't interested. I focused on work, on the kids, on rebuilding something stable from the wreckage. My mother helped enormously. She'd been devastated when she learned the truth, had called Amanda and said things I didn't ask about. But she showed up every Tuesday to watch the kids so I could go to the gym. And she never once said, "I told you so," even though she'd had reservations about Amanda from the beginning. 2 years after the divorce was finalized, I ran into Amanda at Lily's school concert. We were civil, polite. She looked better, had cut her hair, lost weight, seemed to have found some equilibrium in her new life. We made small talk about Lily's solo, about Jake's upcoming basketball tournament. "You look good," she said as the crowd dispersed. "Happy." "I am," I said, and meant it. "I'm sorry." Her voice was quiet, almost lost in the noise of parents and children. "For all of it. I know it doesn't change anything, but I am sorry." I looked at her. This woman who'd been my wife, my partner, the mother of my children. I felt nothing but a distant, mild sadness, like looking at a photograph of someone you used to know. "I know," I said. "Take care of yourself, Amanda." I found Lily and Jake in the crowd, and we walked to the car together. Lily chattered about her solo, about how nervous she'd been. Jake complained about having to wear dress shoes, normal kid stuff, normal life. That night, after they were in bed, I stood in the kitchen drinking tea and looking out at the backyard. The vegetable garden had gone to weeds after Amanda left. I'd let it go, hadn't had the heart to maintain it. But last spring, I'd tilled it under and planted new things. Tomatoes, peppers, herbs. The kids helped, getting dirt under their fingernails, arguing about where the basil should go. It wasn't the same garden, but it was ours. I thought about the man I'd been, standing in Amanda's office holding that abortion receipt. How the world had tilted sideways in that moment. How everything I'd believed about my life had revealed itself as fiction. That man had been devastated, broken, lost. But he'd also been methodical. He'd gathered evidence, made plans, protected his children. He'd trusted the system and his attorney and his own judgment. And he'd come through it. Not unscathed. You don't go through something like that without scars. But stronger, maybe. Clearer about what mattered. The truth, I'd learned, is that you can't build anything lasting on a foundation of lies. Trust isn't just important in a marriage. It's everything. Without it, all the love and history and shared moments mean nothing. They're just pretty decorations on a structure that's already collapsing. Amanda had made her choices. I'd made mine. And in the end, the consequences had fallen exactly where they belonged. I rinsed my mug, turned off the lights, and went upstairs. Checked on the kids, both sleeping soundly, Lily with her arm around her stuffed elephant, Jake sprawled across his bed like he'd been dropped from a height. I adjusted his blanket, kissed Lily's forehead, and went to my own room. The house was quiet, peaceful, mine. I'd won, if you could call it that. Kept my children, my home, my dignity. Amanda had lost almost everything: her family, her reputation, her financial security. The affair that had seemed worth the risk had cost her more than she'd ever imagined. But winning a divorce isn't like winning a game. There's no trophy, no celebration, just the slow, steady work of building a new life from the pieces of the old one. I turned off the light and lay in the darkness, listening to the house settle around me. Tomorrow, Lily had soccer practice. Jake needed help with his book report. I had a meeting at 9, conference call at 2. Normal life, real life. The life I'd fought for and earned and protected. And that, I thought as sleep finally came, was enough.